What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest scams in football today. And we're going to talk about how you guys can avoid that scam, some things to look out for, and then we're going to be answering some questions that you guys left on a previous episode of this show. Let's get started. So, fellas, what I want to talk to you today about is recruiting services. One service in particular that I'm not going to necessarily name names, but let's call it NSCA, for example, okay? Some of you might know what I'm talking about. Now, the problem I have with a lot of these recruiting services, especially the big ones, is that they don't understand, or I guess maybe parents and players don't understand, that college recruiting is a lot of a credibility game and a relationship game. So if they're pitching you on like, hey, you're going to sign up for our, pay thousands of dollars to be able to get onto our website. Our website has all these college coaches that come and view your profile, etc. Chances are it's not going to work out the greatest for you. Now, are there some people who maybe like got a camp invite, and we'll talk about that in a second, got a camp invite, went to a camp, performed really well, and maybe that school was interested in them and they got some real interest from it? Sure, I'm sure there are examples of that, but that is a very, very rare thing to occur. So let me explain how recruiting generally goes, and then we'll talk about why these services really don't bring much to the table, in my opinion. And not all services are bad. There are a lot of independent guys who, act as recruiting agents for people, and they might do a lot of good. They might have their hearts in the right place, and they might know a lot of college coaches, and they don't take anybody and everybody. They have specific athletes that they're willing to attach their name to. Those might be guys that you want to work with. Some of them are complete scam artists. Some of them are actually good dudes. I'm not going to say they're all bad, but I think the big services are not the greatest thing for you to do. So let's explain recruiting, okay? So what colleges do when they start recruiting, the first thing of recruiting is during like winter workouts, right? After the season ends, you get a little bit of break. Then as a high school athlete, you go into winter workouts where you're just lifting in the gym, maybe doing some field stuff, and that's called the contact period for college coaches. Now, that is when college coaches will send a member of their staff out to a specific region. They don't send the receiver coach to 50 different states to recruit all the receivers from those states. They will send maybe an O-line coach to California to recruit all the players from California. Then they will report back to their school. They all get into a big boardroom. They all watch athletes tape on film. Hey, I saw this guy, I saw that guy. And that's how they decide who they're ultimately trying to recruit for that year, whether it's a position need, whether they know a guy's leaving, or whatever the case may be, right? Now, their first point of contact, that college coach, is going to be your high school head coach, right? He's going to come to the school, he's going to speak to the high school head coach, and then he's going to come meet you if you're the athlete that he's ultimately trying to recruit. That's generally how it goes for the top tier dudes, for the guys who are, I guess you could say like the 4 stars, the 5 stars, the 3 stars, even the 2-star guys that have legitimate recruiting attention based on their skills and based on what they do. Now, how you get that recruiting attention, you could promote yourself on X. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You might just perform really well at a big school where a lot of news writers and a lot of recruiting companies like the Rivals and the ESPN might see you, then they might rank you, etc., right? So, and we'll talk about that in a second. Now, the thing is that those college coaches go where they have relationships, right? One of the best things about the high school that I went to Los Alamitos High School in Southern California. Our head coach is extremely well connected. He's been coaching a long time. He knows a lot of college coaches. So that's a big, I guess you'd say, recruiting ploy for him, is like, hey, we get guys to the next level. That's why a lot of athletes want to go to that school, because he's very well connected, and it's a relationship, because that high school head coach for years has given good players to these coaches, and they're like, listen, he knows how to look for talent. He knows what we're looking for. He's a straight shooter. I'm going to go to him, right? And again, it's about using their time wisely. They go to these different high schools where they all have relationships. Now, do college coaches use guys that are outside of high schools? Yes, but they are guys that have credibility, guys that they know they can trust, whether it's like a guy who works for Rivals.com, ESPN, he's a scout. Hey, who are some players I should be looking out for? It's a relationship game, and it's a credibility game. So the problem I have with these websites is that they will take anybody and everybody. The one website that we talked about, the NSCA that I gave as an example, right? They will literally, and I've trained athletes that have gotten these phone calls, 7th, 8th grade kids. Hey, we'd love to get you on the phone and talk with your parents for 45 minutes and waste your time and talk about how we can get you exposure and get you offers and you sign up for our site, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And then they give the price at the very end of the call. And it's just like, why in the hell, if I'm a college coach, am I going to go to this website where there's thousands of kids, and I'm going to siphon through thousands of kids when I could just go to Joe down the street and be like, hey, who are some guys that you got? And Joe's a guy that I trust. Joe's a guy that I know. And Joe isn't getting paid thousands of dollars to just have a million kids that he could refer to me, because that's a conflict of interest, you guys. It's a conflict of interest when they are getting paid to promote certain players. I'm not going to trust that, okay? It's the same thing, like, let's say, for example, like, I don't know, like, let's say it's like a politician, right? And let's say he's trying to get a bill passed, but he's pocketing money from a company that's going to directly benefit from that bill. I'm not going to trust that politician because I know he's getting paid and he's not looking out for my best interest. It's the same thing with college recruiting, you guys. So I'm not going to siphon through all these names. So that's the first thing that you want to look out for. Are they willing to accept anybody and everybody? And if they are, run away from that. Don't spend your money there. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. Well, coach, I signed up for that website and I got an email saying that I got a camp invite. Now, let me tell you a conversation that I had with this certain website. So when I was first starting out with my camps, I was trying to get people to attend the camps, right? And again, just like any business, it's not going to be exploding the first month. So I was like, well, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could try to, get an email list of athletes and be able to send them emails. So I didn't want to work with this company. I reached out to them to see if it was even possible, if people would even do this. So I reached out to this company that everybody knows about, that go on the long phone calls. And I was like, hey, I was wondering if I could, maybe pay a fee and get access to your guys' email list and be able to send out emails to people to promote our camp. And they were legitimately willing to have that conversation with me. I did it as a test. I was never going to go with those guys, but I did it as a test to see if that was actually true what they did. Because I was always wondering, how do all these athletes get these camp invites when they don't have any varsity film? They're an 8th grader. Why would a college coach invite them to spend $200 at their camp? And again, guys, what happens is that there's an exchange of info for a $1 fee. Hey, we have all these athletes on our recruiting service. This college, a small division college, D2, D3, whatever, we're going to pay you, let's say $1,000 for 1,000 emails, right? Let's say that's the number. That's not a real number, but let's say that's the number. I'm going to give you $1,000 for 1,000 emails. Bam. I'm going to send out invites. Spam, by the way, that everybody got the exact same email, and I'm going to invite 1,000 kids to our camp. Let's say we get 5 guys to sign up. 5 out of 1,000. 5 out of 1,000. Less than 5% rate, right? 5 out of 1,000 sign up and they pay, let's say, $300. I made $1,500 and I spent 1,000. So I just profited $500 to have 5 guys show up to my camp. We give them a t-shirt and then bam, and I never talk to them again. That's the model, you guys. That is how you get these camp invites from even signing up for their free version of their website. So guys, it's just all an exchange of information. These college coaches aren't actually going to these websites and siphoning through a bunch of names and watching everybody's tape. They're not doing that, you guys. Colleges spend thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on travel for college coaches, flying to this place, flying to that place, putting on camps to be able to analyze talent. Now, some of you might think, well, listen, I think it's, I'm willing to spend the money for the recruiting service because, if I go to a camp and I perform really well, then great. Here's the thing. Number one, anybody can attend those camps generally. They're not invite only. Some colleges will have invite only camps, and they will invite players that they're actually actively recruiting, not some random guy that they've never communicated with. That's number one. Number two, at those camps, do you understand how hard it is to stand out if you're not one of their guys already? You're going to be there wearing the same exact t-shirt as 200 other kids. The only way that you stand out is if you're a freak of nature, 6'5" and above, and you run an insanely good 40-time or some type of combine movement. That is the only way. If you're just an average player who's maybe really good in pads on, you're not going to stand out at a camp like that because there's just too many people and they don't know you going in. The guys that they're actually recruiting, they know what they look like, they've met them, they're on a first name basis, and they were probably on the campus 2 days before you even got there for the camp. So I'm trying to save you guys time and I'm trying to save you guys money with all this, right? Now, like I said, not all recruiting agencies are bad. There are some guys that are in it for the good of the cause, right? And they actually want to help high school athletes get to college who maybe go to a small school where their coaches aren't super well connected. And that's, I think, honorable. I think that's fine. You know what I mean? I wish I had more time because I could do something like that, right? But I don't have the time to do that, and I try to stay out of that recruiting world because I think it's a very shady world, and I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on that not a lot of people know about, and that's why I'm trying to make this video and inform you guys on this, right? So I think there are guys. Now, what you want to look out for to determine if he's a good guy or not is who are his clients, okay? Because if he's riding on his credibility, He's only going to attach his name to certain athletes who are like actual college level players. Because if I'm a recruiting guy, I'm not going to take a JV backup who's a sophomore and be like, hey, I'm going to get you a D1 offer, like you should give me thousands of dollars, because it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to deliver on that scholarship offer for him. And maybe he's like, hey, listen, I could get you a D2, D3, whatever, whatever, fine, okay, cool. But like, if the guy's not that great and he's not that good, and you guys all know the players that I'm talking about, but he's with this service, chances are that guy's just in it for the check and he just wants the money. But if his guys are dudes that are like, okay, this guy is recruitable, this guy's recruitable, and he turns away people that don't necessarily have the skills yet, maybe he tells them, hey, you need to improve in these areas, and then we can talk and then I can help you. But if he just takes anybody and everybody, run away from that, guys. Because recruiting, like I said in the very beginning, is all about relationships and is all about credibility. And if I'm a recruiting guy, and let's say I have a great relationship with USC's wide receiver coach, right? But let's say I got this really wealthy family over here whose son is not USC caliber, but they tell me, hey coach, we'll give you $2,000 if you just promote little Johnny here to USC because we really want him to go there. And so I take little Johnny and I'm like, hey, you should check out this kid, and I just waste the college coach's time. He'll never come back to work with me again because I wasted his time, because he knows also that I'm probably have a conflict of interest here because I'm getting paid. So guys, you just have to understand these things and understand how the actual recruiting game works, okay? Now, here's what some of you might be thinking. Well, coach, I go to a small school. Coach, this website that I'm signed up for said that they would promote me. They said they'd get me exposure. I don't know how to get exposure. What do I do? Honestly, number one, a college coach would rather hear from you directly than from some recruiting guy. That goes for any recruiting guy. They would rather hear from you directly. Now, you might be thinking, how do I get exposure, right? How do I get my name out there? I'm in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and I'm trying to get a scholarship offer to any school that will take me. How do I get exposure? X, formerly known as Twitter, is the best platform that you guys can use, because that is where college coaches go to do their recruiting. So college coaches use X. They don't use Instagram. They don't use TikTok. They don't use YouTube. They don't use Facebook. They use X, okay? Now, what you need to do on X, and all of this is predicated on the fact that you have varsity film, because if you don't have varsity film, none of this stuff matters. Like, if you're thinking about spending thousands of dollars with a recruiting service and you're a freshman guy, JV guy, and you don't have any varsity film, don't frickin' do it. Please use that money towards resources that are going to help you start on varsity. Use that money towards strength training, speed training, training with a quarterback, receiver coach, whatever position you play, because you got to play on varsity first. Now, the strategy that I'm giving you right now is something you can do if you don't have varsity film yet, but it's setting you up for when you get varsity film that you already have your ducks in a row so you could get some legitimate exposure, okay? So make an X profile. Again, whatever you think about X, whatever you think about Elon Musk, I don't really care. At the end of the day, you're doing it for business. It's for work. You don't got to doom scroll on there. You don't got to buy into the algorithms. Get on there, post, get off. That's all you got to do. Now, you make the profile. Profile picture should be you in some type of football environment. In your bio, your name, graduating class, position you play, and preferably if you have varsity film, a link to your film, right? Then what you want to do is you want to post clips on X of you training, of you working out in the gym, game film clips, the pinned tweet on your profile, because you could pin a tweet so it's the first thing that you see, should be your highlight tape, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to start reaching out to college coaches from the app, and all this is free, you guys. You probably are going to have to pay for a verification badge on Twitter, which means you're a verified account, because a lot of college coaches won't let you DM them unless you're verified, so I recommend that. It's very cheap. It's like $20 a month, maybe even less than that. If you're struggling with money and you can't find a way to get $20 selling something or doing whatever, we got other problems, okay? So, $20 a month probably. That's the most you're going to have to spend using this strategy. What I recommend that you do is you go to Google and you type in list of Division III colleges for football, list of Division II colleges for football, list of Division I FCS, and you're going to make a target list. You're going to get 10 schools per list, 10 NAIA, 10 D3, 10 D2, 10 D1. And what you're going to do is you're going to search up those schools on Twitter. You're going to look up their football account. You're not going to go to their followers. You're going to look at who they are following, which is generally a list of people affiliated with the program and coaches. You're going to find your position coach and potentially somebody who's called the recruiting coordinator for your region. You live in California, in their bio, it'll say recruiting coordinator ... like CA and then maybe some other states, right? You're going to follow those guys. What you're going to do is you're going to DM them And you're not going to DM them your film straight away. You're going to try to get a hook with them. You're going to try to develop a relationship. If you have film or if you don't have film. If you don't have film, DM them and ask them, hey, coach, just wondering, do you have any college camps coming up? He responds, sends you the camp. Whether you go or whether you don't, you have a line of communication with that guy now. So when you get varsity film, guess what? That's a guy you could send it to. And potentially, if you go to the camp, maybe perform well, do whatever you need to do, you can stay in touch with him. You update him throughout the season, and you stay in contact so he's familiar with who you are. If you have film, okay, great. Then maybe the second or third message, you send him your film, be like, hey, coach, these are my highlights from this season. We'd really appreciate if you take a look. I'm a class of whatever, receiver, quarterback, whatever. But that's the process of how you can build exposure. Follow those coaches, message those coaches, because that's really what you want exposure for, right? Who's in this for followers? Like, who's in this like, well, I want 10,000 followers on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter. Like, bro, nobody cares. At the end of the day, nobody really cares. Maybe it helps you with like NIL or whatever the hell that is, but what's your goal? Is it to get brand deals or is it to play college football? And if your goal is to play college football, that's the process that you can do. Not a single recruiting site is going to do that for you. Maybe some guys will, who knows? I'm not going to pretend like I know everything because I don't know everything. But what I will say is that being put on some website with thousands of other people where college coaches probably don't go anyways because they're not going to siphon through all these names. And well, some of you might say, well, wouldn't they like, okay, well, if I'm on Twitter, aren't I DMing college coaches with a bunch of other guys? Like, yes, you are. For sure, but college coaches use X. I think we all can agree on that. They use that platform because it is very easy to see a player's film. All the information is right there, and they know that there is no conflict of interest because X is a free platform. If they go to NSCA, I almost said it, or some other recruiting site, they know that they are paying to be on that website. The website is getting money. They might be promoting certain players because they're paying more. They don't want to be involved with that. They want to actually find real talent from credible and reliable sources, okay? So guys, please hear me out when I say this, and please understand that that is how the process goes. If you still want to go with one of these services, by all means. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just trying to give you the facts of the situation and how everything goes, okay? So guys, appreciate you listening to that. Now, we're going to get into some questions that you guys left on a previous episode of this show. But before we get into the questions, you guys, if you're a quarterback, wide receiver, or parents of a quarterback or wide receiver watching this video, and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we're going to be traveling out to 15 different cities across the entire U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So guys, want to train with us, want to sign up, go to that very first link in the description below. That's where you can get all the information. So our camps, it's not like the big college camps. We have less than 100 people there. We put everybody into small groups because we want to work with you individually and on an individual one-on-one level, right? Like if you screw up and make a mistake, we're going to tell you what you did wrong, how to correct it. We're going to slow down the practice and we're going to move. We can't do that if we have 300 people out there. I'm sure we could get 300 people, but we don't do it because we want to actually help you guys and actually help you develop, and that's what we do. With that being said, spots for our camps are filling up very, very fast. So guys, make sure you take advantage of the fact that we have open spots. 3 of our first camps are almost completely sold out. We have like 10 spots remaining. Our next 3 camps that are almost sold out are going to be in San Francisco, California, Orlando, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, then after that, we'll be coming out to Columbia, South Carolina. Then we'll be coming out to Seattle, Washington, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Nashville, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Denver, Colorado, Columbus, Ohio, Boston, Massachusetts, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So guys, want some info, want to sign up, very first link in that description below. We'd love to have you there and we'd love to work with you, okay? So now, guys, let's get into some questions that you left on a previous episode of this show. If you guys got questions, do not hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. Love interacting with you guys. I answer every comment on our YouTube channel, so guys, do not hesitate. Post those comments below. Best ones will feature on our show, okay? Question number 1 from Burning Fields. Ask them to explain why. Any whys we can ask before training and the money happens? Follow-up question. My kid is on the younger side and won't discern as much as what's a BS answer or how to appropriately challenge his coaching. Any recommendations for how I could step in on his behalf? So when you're trying to pick a private trainer, trying to pick a coach, one of the best pieces of advice I always give is try to make them answer the reason why. You're doing a drill, you're doing an exercise. Can they answer why? Hey, coach, why are we doing this? How does this apply to an actual actual game scenario. Now, the question in place is, how do I ask them why and know they're not full of it before we actually train and before we actually pay these people? Best course of action I would recommend is ask them what their philosophy is on the position that they're trying to train. So let's say it's a quarterback coach. Hey, what's your philosophy on quarterback training? Like, what do you emphasize with the guys that you train? And he'll probably say arm strength, accuracy, throwing mechanics. Okay, cool. What's your philosophy on throw mechanics? Ask them those types of questions, because if they can't really explain it, they're just oh, we work on their footwork, we work on their hips. Kind of a BS answer. No, you know what, that you work on that type of stuff. If they're explaining the process of how things goes, an educated answer, okay, cool, this is how it applies, etc. That's how you know that he's probably a guy that knows what he's talking about, and I recommend going to try it out and see if you gel well with that person, okay? So I hope that makes sense, you guys. Appreciate you asking that question. Next question from Ninja Pepe 12071. Hey, coach, how can I increase my vert as a wide receiver? If you want to get a better vertical jump, what you need to do is work explosive movements in the gym, more specifically plyometrics, box jumps, single leg box jumps, anything where you're having to jump and explode, because that's all a vertical jump is. It's all about explosiveness and activating those fast twitch muscle fibers in your body. So that is ultimately how you have to train in the gym to improve that. So I hope that makes sense, man. Appreciate you asking that. Next question from Big Chunger V5G. Is it worth transferring to an elite high school like IMG, St. John Bosco, Gorman, etc. a few months before junior year if you want to play a skill position like running back or slot, outside wide receiver? So if you want to transfer to one of the big top tier schools in the country, whether that's a Mater Dei, Bosco, Bishop Gorman, IMG, whatever, understand what you're walking into, right? If you are starting on varsity and you want to push yourself and you want to go to one of those big schools, understand it's going to be substantially harder and you may not get as much play time. You're better off at a smaller school if you're the guy and you have a chance to make a ton of plays and get a ton of film, because your varsity film is what gets you recruited. So if you jump to a bigger school and maybe you're not the guy and you're not getting as much film, that doesn't carry as much weight as a dude who's getting a ton of film and a ton of reps and showcasing what they can do, because you have to be able to showcase what you can do. If you want to challenge yourself and go to those big schools, I'm not against it, but I am just saying don't jump ship because you think grass is greener on the other side. Know what you are getting into. It is a better opportunity if you can make plays, because those schools have a ton of eyeballs and a ton of recruiting attention, but don't bail on your team for a situation where maybe you're not going to get a ton of playtime, because I've seen that happen before. Okay? So guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. That does it for this show. That does it for all of our questions that we answer, but I hope this was able to help. Hope this gave you guys some value. But again, guys, if you have questions, do not hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. We love interacting with you guys and featuring you on our show, and we'll see you guys next time.